This is no shade to the girl who left this comment. Whenever somebody says that, I always think I need to ask you to explain your feelings on this, because I feel like a lot of times we use "they don't have chemistry" as a way to blanket explain something that it doesn't necessarily correlate to the person that we're talking with. There's so much that goes on in my brain whenever I'm watching a television show. If you're new here, I have a background in film and television. I have a degree in English literature, so I've studied story from all of these different aspects, and I'm thinking about so many different elements when it comes to what was on the page when they were trying to shoot this. What time did they have to shoot this? How quickly were they given to shoot this scene? Was it originally cut to go in this order? Because on our end, there is an emotional sequence to how we're experiencing things. What was happening on the crew side of stuff? There's so many different layers to this constantly happening that when we say they don't have chemistry, I kind of have to ask, what is it that you're wanting from them that would make this different? Sometimes with actors, there's this space where they don't trust themselves to not lose themselves in whatever they're experiencing, and so they're not able to take themselves that deep because they don't think they can pull themselves out of it. And you also have to think about the regulations that you're experiencing with different television networks, so what they're allowed to air when it comes to a television show. And there's the fact that they are actual human beings playing roles on TV. We all have these mental boundaries in which we feel like this is where I'm allowed to interact with another human being before it feels like emotionally cheating. And when you're psychologically having to lock into another human being, we all have different limits for that. We all have different boundaries for what it feels like for us before we just feel really uncomfortable and really unsafe with stepping over that boundary, even if it's not an actual real life thing. Now, obviously, we ask a lot of actors when it comes to emotional vulnerability and emotional intimacy, but sometimes you're not even aware that that's a boundary that you've drawn that you don't know how to get yourself over without it feeling like you're failing in some other capacity. Talk about chemistry. If you leave that in the comments, I'm going to start asking you to clarify it for me. I'm going to ask you to define it more plainly and to consider that there's a lot more happening than what we see on screen, and there's more to consider when we just kind of give that blanket statement.